Artists see the world and gardens differently. The garden is where plants are shapes and colors and materials. Objects nestle among the flowers. The garden is where media merges and ideas collide. San Diego has lots of beautiful gardens, created by and belonging to artists. Each garden has its own character, influenced by the artist's medium, be it ceramic, glass, wood, bronze, or paint. To these talented people, gardens are their outdoor creative spaces. For them, the garden offers an ever-changing canvas of light, color, and form. There's no palette as rich as a garden, and there's no one style. Abstract, fanciful, minimalist, naturalistic. We're visiting artists who've made their gardens into their own personal paradise. Today, on A Growing Passion. Some artists are drawn to San Diego for the beauty of the beach, the mountains, the valleys, and the climate. Some set up a studio in a garage or a patio or the outdoors. What better place to look for inspiration than in their own surroundings? Sunrise is a magical time in Sherry Laporte's garden. Her home and art glass studio in Escondido, California, have a breathtaking view of Lake Hodges. Her studio opens to the garden, where she watches the sun light the lake, the trees overhead, the plants beneath, and the mountains in the distance.
I wouldn't be creating art if it wasn't for the nature in the garden. I'm inspired a lot by what nature offers in plants and the texture, colors.
In her studio, Sherry works with fused dichroic and stained glass, combined with stones, mirror, and tile. Her complex assemblages explode with texture and color. That's amazing.
The surfboards came about with having a lot of excess glass material that I wanted to create something repurposed. So I found an old surfboard and I started applying the glass on the surfboard, and it turned out really great.
How do you get the grout, the different colors, to match the different bands of color in the surfboard?
Well, I use a regular colored grout, maybe a gray, and I use a acrylic paint stain, where then I can isolate colors onto the grout.
It's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Sherry treats her garden like a gallery, where light illuminates color and shapes. Art and plants complement one another.
I purposely made mobiles, things that are kinetic, mosaics, designing the beauty of the glass, complementing the garden.
Wow, Sherry, this is beautiful. The water, the oak trees, the plants, all the glass.
Thank you.
Amazing. Did you do this?
Well, when we moved to the property about a year ago, many of the rocks were here and the succulents, and I've just added a touch of my glass. And
if this were my garden and I had all these beautiful objects, I would want to put them together, but I wouldn't know how to do it, and you've done it beautifully. How do you do this?
Oh, I think it's just my collecting of objects. Many of these things right here aren't mine, but I find them from other artists, other stones that I collect over the years, and I like to group by color and texture, placement between the rocks, so what the land already gives me space for, and just kind of find nooks and crannies that way.
In this cozy half-acre, Sherry creates collections of rock, pottery, and pieces of polished glass. Her human-made shapes play off the nature-made shapes. Here's a classic collection of 3. Sherry painted these stones with polka dots. Her glass has polka dots, and that cactus, polka dots too. Perfect. You have all these oak leaves. You know, most people rake them away, and you've left them. How come?
I counted 20 oaks on this property, and I love them. I've become much more familiar with the beauty of an oak tree.
Beneath the oaks are cactus, aloe, and other succulents. They're the garden's texture and variety. Those plants look that much more vibrant when Sherry places a beautiful piece of colored art into her garden beds. Sherry's brilliant colors are illuminating. Here she shows off her latest construction.
I've always been fascinated by honeybees. When I learned about the colony collapse syndrome, I wanted to learn more about the bees. So I started my own hives, and it's just a fascinating hobby. Upon that, I've added it into my art.
Sherry finished this beautiful glass beehive just a few weeks ago. This is phenomenal. It's a beehive?
These are beehives. These are actual size of the beehive, and I've mosaicked each one of them.
So they're all individual?
They are.
And you've got all these little figures. Tell me about them.
I've put on different flowers that are in my own garden, Matilahoff poppies, roses, some other make-believe flowers that I created out of glass.
You're allowed. And what about the bees? Those aren't glass, are they?
The bees are ceramic. I took a ceramic class just to purposely make these bees and add them to the mosaic.
And you've got some monarchs.
Monarchs.
And I see the queen bee at the top.
Yes, we have to have the queen. She's the most important part of the beehive.
This is just stunning.
Thank you.
Sherry's passion for art and nature drive her curiosity and inspire her to use brilliant color and expressive motion. Both perfectly complement the plants in her garden. Eric and Irina Gronberg's street-side garden is a tantalizing hint at the wonderland beyond their gates.
Eric, nice to see you.
The colors, their decor, and their collection of unusual plants are completely unlike their neighbors on this suburban cul-de-sac in Solana Beach, California.
Wow, look at that.
So that it would look.
I feel like I'm at the Alhambra.
Yeah.
The Gronbergs were both trained in abstract expressionism in the 1960s. Each is widely known and respected in their respective media. Eric for his work in wood, bronze, and ceramic sculpture. Irina for her botanical artwork done in color pencil. Together, however, they collaborate in another medium, one not so visible to the public. Since the 1970s, these two have recreated their home and garden as their living and lived-in art. In this very private sanctuary, the Gronbergs have addressed some very common garden challenges, using an approach uniquely their own.
Moved here to begin with because I'd just gotten a permanent job teaching at Mira Costa College north of here, so this was a convenient location.
It was the view from the house that was so upsetting, because all we saw was the street, cars across the street, garage. We saw hardscape, and it was, if you're in the house and that's your view, it's like it's in the house with you. Not being able to stand the view, I planted some acacia trees around so that when you looked out the window you didn't see cars and asphalt. And then Eric got into it. We started gathering discarded plants that neighbors would put out, like dracaenas and agaves. And then we got interested. So this is the Tillandsia garden in the front patio, and it gets all of its water from the fog and the mist and an occasional spritz.
Today, their collection of Tillandsia frame the entrance to the front patio. They replaced the lawn with squares of beach cobble and brick. They first planted acacia trees, then swapped them out for layers of bamboo, fern, and citrus. Eric's painted furniture, his ceramic pieces, and an imaginative paintbrush bring this enclosed space alive with color. The soil was so poor that they built raised beds using cinder block they stuccoed, painted, and filled with better soil that supports their growing collection of plants. Bird of paradise, bromeliads, succulents, and other low-water beauties overflow the beds. They create an environment that feels miles away from close-by neighbors on either side. This is your cactus and succulent garden, right?
Yeah.
It's beautiful, and I keep noticing these little faces. And what are these?
So these are hose guards.
Hose guards.
If you're dragging your garden hose around to water the plants, and you're pulling that,
Yeah.
you risk pulling it across the plants
Oh,
and
yeah.
destroying them. So wherever there is that bend, there'll be a new one.
And they're all interesting little faces.
Yeah, I thought rather than just make a simple post, which would do the same job, it was another opportunity to kind of play with, so I put a little head on each one.
Eric, this is really stunning. Can you explain to me what your concept was?
I wanted to combine the plants with my sculpture. So I started to make some pieces with my ceramic shapes, the square base, and that ball sitting in there, and leaving a crack design to have a plant grow there, so that is part of the sculpture. So I made a number of pieces throughout the garden there with that same idea of combining my ceramic forms with plants that in my mind relate to that.
There wasn't a master plan. Instead, the couple worked intuitively, section by section, testing ideas, then finding ways to connect the spaces together. Ultimately, the garden came to be made of 6 distinct rooms, each dedicated to a different style and a different group of plants. An Italian-inspired vista is made of vine-covered arches. Eric created a faux Roman ruin and set it at the far end to serve as a distant focal point. In one garden bed, chest-like ceramic shapes stand among flowering clivia and shade-loving bromeliads. At the rear of the garden, they painted a tall retaining wall, the imperial red of China's forbidden city. The cactus and succulent garden shows the couple's fascination with shapes and textures. There are thorns and spines at every turn, details that these two see as the art of nature.
Everything you see is part of it, not just the plants, but that the pavements, the walls, the colors that we paint, sculptures, the woodwork, trellises, and so on, is all equally important in the overall effect. It's kind of a joint work of art. It's not a botanical garden, but the important thing are the views, as what the light will do to something, how we can frame things. And that means that the pavement and the walls and all the texture things are just as important as the plants.
Everywhere, art is integrated with the garden. This couple doesn't miss any opportunity to make the practical into the beautiful. For Del Mar, California ceramic artist Betsy Schultz, work and garden are inseparable. Parts and pieces of every project find their way into Betsy's garden, at least for a little while.
I create murals. They consist of sculptural ceramics and glass, found objects, and most of it is nature related. There's some historical components to it depending on which kind of community I'm working with.
Betsy is high energy, and her garden reflects that. Her multimedia art is a fusion of imagery, color, and texture. She draws her inspiration from nature, so her garden plays an important role in her creativity.
When I'm working, I see the garden, and so I want it to be attractive and also inspirational. So there tends to be a lot of stuff all around my garden that is movable, interchangeable. It's all pieces that might become part of the art as well as part of the garden.
On this small lot, every inch counts. The garden, a small main house, and several outbuildings fit into the property like puzzle pieces. Betsy's studio is rooted in this space. She's as likely to be pruning and planting as she is rolling out a slab of clay on her workbench.
I guess for me, it's important to not have anything that ever stays the same. So obviously plants grow, so that's perfect. I don't have to worry about that. But all the other items I have in the garden can constantly be manipulated as part of kind of artistic inspiration.
The bones of this garden are formed by plants that came from a garden display at the San Diego County Fair. At the end of that year's fair, the garden was taken down and reconfigured for Betsy's space. The front garden is on the edge of a busy road with its constant whiz of passing cars. Across the road is a lagoon and the sandstone cliffs of Torrey Pine State Nature Reserve. Betsy's challenge, then, is to enhance the views while screening out the traffic.
You know, what's really amazing, Betsy, is we're on a busy street, and yet this space feels like so enclosed and quiet. And how did you create that separation?
Part of it was I just started with boulders and a short wall in the front. And then over here we have a bit of a boulder island that separates the driveway, but it just gave it a sense of space that was separate from everything outside.
Amidst the boulders, she planted agave, succulents, and broadleaf plants, all anchored by a strawberry tree with its beautiful bronze bark. It's a living screen that lets in the view.
I like these, the reddish color, the bronzes, the purples, the greens, and the grays, and also the different textures of the plants, and then the different heights. So I started kind of low, up, and then the plants in the background can all be trimmed, so I have privacy, but we can still see the view.
This small front yard is a welcoming space. One of Betsy's ceramic mosaic panels decorates the entry. She added found objects in ways that look completely natural in this eclectic garden. The rear courtyard is an outdoor living room for friends and family to enjoy. Betsy even designed a fire table so everyone stays warm even on chilly beach evenings. In this indoor-outdoor living room, Betsy creates living compositions too.
It's hard to work in a small space like that.
Well, I like that it's contained. It feels like a flower arrangement. And to make it kind of look as clean as it looks, I take it all out and then I kind of break off all the stems of the succulents, the aeoniums, and then I put them all kind of where I want them and rearrange everything.
It's beautiful, and you've got your little eclectic pieces here, I see.
Yep, everywhere around the yard you'll see little hints of metal and rusty stuff and special stones, things I might use in a project.
And you make it work together. That's the part that I think is so incredible.
Behind her studio is Betsy's take on a vegetable garden, made from found objects, of course.
Betsy, this is one of the most eclectic vegetable gardens I've ever seen.
Well, I had it on the ground. I was growing everything on the ground at first, but something was eating at it. So I got a horse trough, and that went really well. So I got a couple pots, and then I ended up being able to get these really old garbage cans from someone's site that already had the bottoms rotted out.
Oh, that's perfect.
I know. And just started planting those, and it became this, I don't know that it's beautiful, but it's sculptural, and I can move it and change it, and it's just interesting. I like it.
And it fits completely with the rest of the garden, whereas vegetables in the ground would kind of be, that's fine, but this is something really interesting to look at.
Yeah, it's kind of like Sesame Street.
Oh, look at this beautiful pond. I really like this.
Well, you know what? Right behind us is my computer studio, and so when I'm sitting in there, I wanted something to feel like it's bringing the garden inside, and so I thought a pond would be perfect, and with the waterfall, because it would mitigate the sound of the traffic, and it would also get something to pull the garden into my house.
You might think that cramming so much into a limited space would feel crowded, but it doesn't. The garden feels spacious, warm, and inviting.
I think it's actually kind of easy to garden in this yard because the spaces are small. So you can create a space that you can turn around in and see something interesting no matter where you are.
Betsy's nonstop imagination layered onto a base of practicality and her ability to see everyday items as art offer lessons for all gardeners. Make the most of your space, think outside the box, and embrace change, just like Betsy.
Good morning, Laird.
Good morning, Nia.
Nice to see
In
you.
Lucadia, California, there's an artist whose garden features pottery inspired by plant parts, seed pods, buds, leaves, and branches. It's as if they sprouted from the soil alongside the plants in his garden. Laird Plumley was born decades after the peak of the arts and crafts movement, yet his art, his home, and his garden embody California craftsman style.
Everything I do is about California. I'm a California native, and I spent a lot of time surfing and seeing the colors on the beach, and I got my interest in my first palette from looking at beach pebbles.
When he started working in ceramics, Laird found himself drawn to the subtle colors he knew from local beach stones, sandy bluffs, and luminous skies. An unusual gate modeled after flowing giant seaweed and cast in concrete admits visitors to Plumlee's property and into his garden filled with interesting plants.
Laird, that is a beautiful Dracaena. Wow, how long has it been growing there?
Well, I planted it from a seed, not here, but almost 60 years ago when I was in Long Beach. I put it here when it was just so big, and it's been here in this particular spot for 35 years.
And they grow really slowly, so that really says something. I love the branching structure and the way it just fits right there in this opening, and it's framed beautifully in the plants.
Some are more dynamic than others. This happens to be one that just loved it here and just kept growing, you know.
Tall cacti and succulents form an informal fence that separates the front yard from the street.
I still can't believe you have a saguaro. That is just the most amazing thing.
The plants in this garden are all soft blues and greens that reflect the tones of Plumlee's craftsman-style home. Tucked in amongst the plants are found objects and pieces of Plumlee's handmade pottery.
So this is a seed pod?
It's a poppy, yeah, in the sense that a poppy evolves into this pod-like thing once the flowers fall off.
Yeah, I can see that perfectly. It's very voluptuous. It just, and organic looking, and it just looks like it fits among the cactus and the succulents. It's really cool.
It's happy there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Where are we going now?
We're going to go in the Dracaena Dragon Tree Tunnel, which is barely passable.
I'm waiting to see dragons.
I see light at the end here, so we're...
Oh, good. It's like swimming. Oh, great. We made it. Yay! And we didn't get eaten. Hooray!
No, the dragon must be sleeping.
The artist's eye is at work throughout the property. A fountain reflects Plumlee's classic art training. Antique tiles show how man morphs to lion. Each phase spills water into the waiting basin. The steep driveway features a stone retaining wall inset with Plumlee's pots. They're overflowing with succulents that counter the rock's hard surfaces. Then there are the ceramics, giant urns as tall as I am. Lanterns that depict nature and forms that both contrast and blend with the colors of the plants around them.
I've made so much. So we just started putting them out amongst the fruit trees and all over what is almost an acre of land here. It came out pretty cool. I think it was a good idea.
Plumlee is well known for his line of ceramic tiles, inspired by the late Pasadena tile maker Ernest Batchelder, who's a legend of the arts and crafts movement.
This is very much iconic of his work. This is a very desirable if you're a collector.
Customers use Plumlee's tiles for fireplace surrounds, fountains, and other architectural features.
Here's this one. This is from Balboa Park. Actually, you see it outside the Prado.
And that's how they go together.
These are the 2 pieces. Yeah, they go like that.
Laird's designs depict nature, birds, flowers, the iconic Torrey pines native to Southern California. These are modern interpretations of classic California landscapes. The pottery is completely his own. It's a twist on form following function, and a perfect complement to his collection of fruit trees, palms, dragon trees, and more. Plants and gardens and California landscapes. Laird Plumlee is rooted in history, yet firmly planted in the 21st century. His art is inspired by nature and by timeless tradition. Artists treat plants and gardens as connected media that together create magic. They heighten senses and inspire creative energy.
Artists see the garden a little differently than most of us do. On their outdoor canvas, they make their garden into a work of art. I'm Nan Sterman. See you next time on A Growing Passion.